Can you hear me okay, Addie? Let me know if you can hear this music. I found this guy's music on the internet. It's really fun. It's like crypto music.
What goes around, but life situations.
See if you can hear the microphone and see the screen okay.
Turn us into something else.
Let me know if you got me okay.
Don't let people or life situations don't stoop to their level. Harden your heart.
Yo, what is up? 6 Treble 1.
If you do, you justifying what they did. No revenge. Killing with success. No revenge. You gotta kill them with success.
Cool. Can you guys hear that music or no?
Kill them with success. No revenge. You gotta kill them with success. Kill them with success. Lead a karma with them. No revenge. You gotta kill them with success. Kill them with success.
We'll get going here in a minute. I think what we're going to do is go from Bitcoin's macro, and we'll work from Bitcoin's macro weekly. And we're going to work down through all the time frames to around a 4 hour, you know. After that, we'll take a quick look at the hourly to see what we have going on there. But, you know, I really don't think we need to go below the hour. After that, on Bitcoin, it gets quite messy. So, let's get into it, and we'll just roll from there, guys. I'm waiting to see, you know, if we get some people in here first, and then we'll start doing chart requests from there. So, yeah, I found this guy's music on the internet, Crown Chakra or something. I think it's pretty freaking good, dude. He has a lot of different songs that are really good. He made a new one yesterday. I don't know. I really like it. But get you hyped up, ready to trade, you know? It's always weird being in the YouTube live streams because I can talk, but you guys can't really talk back, so it's like a one-sided conversation, you know? Let me go ahead and let's start on the Bitcoin side of things. Alright. Cool guy, though, to look up his music, so. Alright. That will be our lower time frames, but let's go ahead and start talking on the macro first. Let's throw away everything that we have here. Start with a fresh chart on the weekly for Bitcoin, okay? And I really think this is all you need, right? Is your RSI, your 50 EMA, and your volume. Outside of these things, I think a lot of times if, you know, you're charting a macro chart, you really don't need 4 or 5 indicators down here to help you. You know, you need strategies that are going to help you make better decisions in your trading, okay? All right, let's go ahead and put some fibs on here and see what we're looking at. Again, this is the weekly Bitcoin chart, and we're keeping this on log for right now to talk about the bullish case that might still be here on the weekly, okay? So let's put our extensions first, and then we'll put some labels and start to talk. Remember, these fibs are just areas of interest, and by that I mean it's an area of interest, not an exact cent, right? So please don't see these and be like, that means Bitcoin has to go to 76,638 and 80 cents on the dime, and if it doesn't, it's not a wave 3 and it's bullshit. Okay? So let's go ahead and put some labels on here of what could be going on the weekly. This could be a wave 1 with 5 waves within it, right? Because everything in Elliott Wave moves up in 5 waves. And within the 5 waves up, there's 3 motive waves to the upside, being the wave 1, the wave 3, and the wave 5, right? So again, you'll have 5 waves within your 3 and 5 waves within your 5. And we'll get there as we go. You might hear my gigantic dog in the background every now and again, but he's here being as loud as possible. So, all right. On the weekly, you can see that Bitcoin is running up against some RSI resistance. We haven't quite made it back here yet. Another thing that you should be noting is that where in the hell is the volume, right? There's no damn volume here. The other thing that we can see is that we made a regular bear divergence on the RSI, meaning price actions was able to secure higher closures, or the actual flat spot on the candle is what this is referring to, right? So where the candle actually closed, this flat was higher here on price action, but lower on the RSI. The other thing that you should note is that the volume was even lower, right? So when the volume's lower and the RSI creates a regular bear divergence, that is a momentum divergence, right? And this is how you often know, hey, you know, I could make a little pullback here, a little reversal, okay? Let's get this volume out of our way for a moment and just keep going through some simple things. Another thing that I really like to point out, and I think is super important, is when you're looking at this and price action is the 50 EMA, 50 EMA, 50 EMA on the weekly, that's Bitcoin trying to stay in the bull control zone, right? So it's trying to remain strong and stay in the bull control zone. You can note this a lot of times when you look down low. You'll notice the RSI trying to hold the 50 level, trying to hold the 50 level, trying to hold the 50 level. Big reactions here. That's that bull control zone of the RSI, right? So just keep those two things in mind for whatever time frame you're on and look forward to, you know, hey, this is what I think is happening. Anyhow, once you got your labels on here and you're looking at this as a 5-wave motion to the upside, we typically like to see the wave 3 minimum hit a 1.618 extension taken from 0 to 1 to 2. So if this is true, we pulled just shy of that, right? And in Elliott Wave, one of those 3 motive waves that we talked about earlier usually is extended per the book, right? And that book's by Frost and Prechter, not by me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a student of the theory, right? So if you have 3 motive waves to the upside, one of them is usually extended. If 1 wasn't and 3 wasn't, it gives likelihood that the 5 could be, right? So let's talk about that. In Elliott Wave, when you look for where a wave 5 could be going to, you pull an trend-based fib extension from 0 to the high of 3 to the low of 4, okay? Let's put it way off to the side so we can see it. And we aim for the 0.618 as a minimum. We've never reached that. Like, we're far from it, right? We haven't even touched it. The other thing that we've noticed a lot is you can get a lot of reactions around that 382. We're past it and above it, giving it full probability that we would go to the next extension, right? So we would get to that next 0.618 extension. So as soon as we would get here, you know, 128, 130, maybe that's the top of Bitcoin. But again, we talked about wave 3 was not extended. Wave 1 was not extended. So wave 5 could be extended. Now, another thing that we could do to give ourselves some probability would be an acceleration channel from the lows of 2 to the lows of 4, extended out in space for now. And we put it to the high of the possible wave 3. After those 3 points of contact, low, low, high, you can see amazing center line reactions validating the channel. And again, it found support on the outside of the channel, and now we're moving up. This is why we could see resistance here. Now, if Bitcoin is to get extended in a 5th wave, you could see the 786, and in Elliott Wave, as silly as it sounds, you can get as high as the 1.618. Now, I'm sure at certain points, some asshole's going to be calling for this. They're going to tell you it's going to 233,000. It's going at 400,000, right? People are going to go ape shit. But the thing here to remember instead of that is to stay with your feet kind of on the ground, right? So if this is 5 waves to the upside again within our wave 5, I would say this trend, let's fix these numbers so they're a little more clear for you. And when you do Elliott Wave, don't get caught up in this micro minor bullshit. Don't waste all your time on it. Just go ahead and wham wham. Just make one bigger than the other so you can see what the heck's going on, yeah? So this would be our wave 5 of the wave 5. You're building macro bear divergences on the RSI. You are losing volume as you're moving up. Let's go ahead and check a market cipher B here. You can see at the same time as this happening, you know, you could make a very clear momentum divergence with this next move to the upside, right? If you go ahead and secure higher closures, but your momentum wave is unable to secure higher closures, that's another divergence, right? So you already have a bearish momentum divergence from this momentum wave to this momentum wave, right? That if that continues onward like we're seeing on the RSI, that would be a negative thing to be looking at, especially if money flow, the green wave, does not come up and make a new high, you would then have bearish, regular bear div on your money flow also. So it'd be something to keep in mind. All right, so now that we've talked about the macro, let me check the chat, see if we have any questions. So far, looks like Anon YT618 says, thoughts on PENGU. Looks like it made clear 5 waves off the low. Do you know what time frame that is, sir? And what is the best exchange for me to look up PENGU for you? Let me finish here on the micro for Bitcoin and the lower time frames for Bitcoin and where we think it could be going down to the 4-hour, and we'll pop back over to PENGU. But thank you, dude. I'll make sure we get to that. So let's move over to the daily here. So again, on the daily, we're wanting to be bulls, right? We're wanting to say that wave 5 of 5 is still to come. Well, again, like we looked at earlier, right? Wave 1, possibly. Wave 2, possibly. And a wave 3, 4, and waiting for 5, right? What is wave 5's minimum target, guys, that we just learned when we did this? Taken from 0 to 3 to 4 is what? It's a 0.618, right? Look at the amazing back tests of your 50 EMA here with a really bullish hammer candle, right? Meaning it's more hammer, more handle of the hammer, excuse me, or a 50% candle versus body. Its majority is candle wick, right? This is a bullish thing. We also built support off the 382, right? So if you're sitting here building daily back tests off an old 382 resistance at 101.869, I think it gives full probability to get us into this zone, right? To get this wave 5 of 5, secure this 120,000 Bitcoin. But the problem is, I think a lot of people at that point will start going ape and telling you Bitcoin's going higher and higher and higher and higher, right? So let's try to avoid the FOMO. Let's try to avoid the craziness. Yo, what's up, AM? Thanks for coming to the live, yo. Let's avoid that shit that gets us caught up, right? And let's stick to what's logistically sound, right? And what is these fibs. They're objective. It's going to give us mathematical probabilities and something to look at, not just the bullshit hope, right? Because we're not here for that. If you want that, you can find that somewhere else. All right. So again, if this was wave 5, well, dudes, it's getting close to the end, right? So the risk is getting high. Now, let's drop down another time frame. Yo, what's up, Peter? And let's go check out what Bitcoin could be doing on the 4-hour if the top is not in, right? And we say that because there's always the possibility it is, right? And then we're wrong, which is totally okay. Being wrong just gives us an opportunity to learn, right? All right. This move to the downside can chart one of 2 ways, right? You could try to argue and say this is a leading diagonal in A. You could try to argue and say it's a WXY in A. Doesn't really matter. There's no reason to sit here, beat your head against the wall, and go back and forth between all these freaking counts. What's up, Delta? What's more important is to align probabilities and directions, right? So yesterday we made a post in Discord saying, hey, looks like we were turning up right here. We bounced off that 888 area in the 786 with a amazing bullish candle here on the 4-hour. You could see it's more wick than body, pushing us to the upside. That was amazing. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. That's where we were long biased yesterday. Now, when we look at this from the downside, let me get this RSI out of the way so we can see better. This is a nest of shit, so bear with me here. If this is an A to the downside, this was a very quick 3 waves, which could be done, right? Let's go ahead. Let's just delete everything and start fresh. Sound better? This way everybody can learn as we go also. I think this is one of the better ways to do it. So in Elliott Wave, things move in 5s and 3s, 5s and 3s, 5s and 3s. If this is somehow, some way, 5 waves to the downside, right, guys? Then it has to be a leading diagonal. Main reason why is the overlap between a possible wave 4 and a possible wave 1, right? So let's put some labels on this so you can see. Right? So you do have overlap. According to the new rules of diagonals, you don't have to, but in this clear situation, you do. So turns it into a diagonal as most probable if you're going to want this to be a 5-wave motion, right? So let's measure our wave 2 and see how deep it got from this low of 1 to the high of 2. Let's replicate this over our wave 4 and see if it was bigger. So it was not bigger in amplitude, right? It was slightly smaller. Now let's check time and correction comparing 2 to 4. Using, this is the trend-based fib time tool. You were past the 1-to-1, showing you that it took way longer to correct and nearly 2 times in correction, right? You can also see that it slightly looks expanding here. Let's put a little trend line. Maybe a channel. Let's do that. That'll show it the better way. Let's try this from 2 to 4. Let's put it from 1 to 2. Sorry, excuse me. Let's get this right to see if it works. Let's go from 1 to 2 to 3. Excuse me. Sorry, I have all my kids home right now going bananas. It's the summertime. I'm sure some of you have a bunch of crazy kids at home too. You can see it comes out of that channel and it slightly expands a little bit. I think that's due to the time and correction being so much longer in the 4 than it was in the 2, right? So that would make it a leading expanding diagonal, which lowers the probabilities of that even being a diagonal, right? Sorry, I needed a sip of something. My throat was getting dry. I have horrible allergies, and as some folks know, was sick for quite some time. So again, that's why we can call it an A. So if you thought it was 5 down, great, and you labeled it A, so be it. If you thought this was your B, we'll just put that there for now. A horrible way for this to go would be down in a C. Now, if we could check minimum time from 0 to A, you could see this B wave high was in before a 382 in time, making it highly likely that this was not the B wave, right? Like that was not its high. So you have 3 waves to the upside, meaning this was probably the first leg of something, right? I don't care how you want to label the next steps. That's up to you, and you can argue with yourself. But to me, it looks like 3 waves up in W, 3 waves down in X, and making it possible 3 waves up in Y at some point, right? Now, when we measure from the lows to the highs of W, if this X wave hits our 702, then it gives full probability that the actual WXY correction within this won't be a W or a sharp double zigzag, excuse me, and that it could pull shallow in a flat or a triangle, right? So if this is going to happen, that means the most common target of Y is the 1 through 1.236, right, guys? But in a sideways WXY combo, we've seen a lot of them hold shallow at the 618 to 786 also. So that means it could stop around 110 area, right? If it doesn't, we're looking at 113 to 115, and it's still a corrective scenario. Now, how will we know, hey, when is this full ass impulsive? When are we not dealing with the corrective scenario anymore? I think that's a really good question. You would pull a retracement fib from a high to a low, turn on your expanded B wave retracement, and according to the Elliott Wave book by Frost and Prechter, it says if we hit 1.618 at 119, this is no longer corrective up. A huge probability shift will occur for Bitcoin at 116, $799, right? So, good job, Delta, on that, nailing the 1.618, right? Now, if this is to break that 1.382 here, taken from high to low, it's going to full shift probability that this is not, what? A correction to the upside, and that it might start moving impulsively. At that point, we will start to consider the other routes of price action that we talked about, right? And that would be going for a new high, finishing that wave 5 of 5 in the most bullish scenario. Now, this would be us correcting upwards. It can occur, and then after which a sharp wave to the downside can come. But for now, let's stay focused on the most common areas of interest and let's see what would happen. So if we went just based off fib retracement here alone of that extension upward, the 1.236 through 1.382 for Bitcoin at 114 to 116 area is the most common area of interest just based upon retracement fibs alone, right? If we use a new style fib template that we make in the Discord community here, you can see how well that we are starting to respect these retracement fibs on the way up, right? From high to low, these are retrace resistance. You come up, back test the 236, and you're marching up them again, smashing out the 0.618, smashing out the 702, right? Marching up. Yo, what's up, more? What's up? Oh, Kate's here too. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for coming by. I love seeing you in the chats. Thank you for being a Discord member. For you guys, a lot of this is old news, right? A lot of this is review, so I apologize for that. I just want to get these kind of Bitcoin plans out there, guys, and then we're going to start smashing out all the altcoins and showing what's up, right? All right, so now this corrective shit can happen. Now you also need to be aware, okay, that's an overlap from my fib retrace area from 114 to 116. So I have upside there. Most common area of interest for a Y, right? Overlaps the previous area of interest, right? So you'll start to see this, lots of areas of interest that overlap with each other. And this is all giving your Bitcoin macro scenario the possibility that the top is not in, right? That we could be going for more. Now, even in the most corrective, bearish, but overall bullish scenario, you could only see Bitcoin get up to 110. Oh no. Great. Who cares, right? You got to ride the trend for quite some bit from down here. So everything's all right. Now, we're going to start paying attention around 110, but we're going to stay more focused towards this, you know, the overlap of the target box areas based upon extensions and retracements that gets Bitcoin around that 114. All right, so now let's delete this and let's talk about like the holy shit, it's bullish scenario, right? It starts smashing out things and you're like, what the hell is going on? The WXY that we looked at earlier could also very well be a possibility for a low being in. Now, the reason that we say this is because, remember we talked earlier, we said sometimes that Y leg can find a shallow retracement. So if this is W, and we pull this up to X, let me turn off my magnet. You will see great respect came in with the flat bottom closure of the candles at the 618 extension taken from 0 to W to X to predict where Y would go. It nearly taps the 786 extension here, right? On a $100,000 asset, missing by that, I call that pennies. That's fucking Skittles. It's nothing, right? Stay focused. At the same time that it did this, what happens on our RSI? This is a big one to be paying attention to. The same time it did that, look what you have. Hidden bull divergence on your RSI, meaning the RSI resets very deeply, but price action did not in an uptrend, right? This is how we get those smashing moves to the upside that leave a lot of people behind, right? All right. So if the low was in here in this WXY scenario, you could see somewhat very easily here how this deceleration channel was important in that you should have had it on your chart from 0 to X to W. What did we do? Hold the bottom of the channel, build support off center line, break out of the deceleration channel, right guys? Back test the deceleration channel, fly. Back test the deceleration channel, fly. In my opinion, I am long biased on Bitcoin, right? I am looking for that upside. Whether that be the low is in, and that, holy shit, we're going to the 120, we're going to the moon. People will start going crazy for Bitcoin, right? But you'll know to be watching the divergences. You'll know that there was only really one left of, oh, let me make this RSI bigger. I apologize. I don't know why it's doing that today. I think it is the aspect that I am recording it in. There we go. Sorry, gang. So you can see that the RSI put in lower lows, but the price action did not, right? Creating a hidden bull divergence. All right. Sorry about that being cut off, guys. I deeply apologize. Thanks for catching me in the chat, guys. That's 2 charts for PENGU, dude. We're definitely going to have to go check that one out. All right. So if this is going to start moving off bullishly and you're like, ah, it's it. You know, the top is not in. Bitcoin's going for new highs, blah, 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 blah. Then what we're going to be looking for here is how could this be the low, right? And how could you be going for a wave 5? Well, in my opinion, though it's shaky, and we're far, 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 far from saying it's what's going on, would be an ending diagonal. In Elliott Wave, an ending diagonal can only be made in all 3 wave motions, right? This would be a long, grinding move to the upside in which everything is 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, right? So everything to the upside in this scenario would be 3 waves up in 1, 3 waves down in 2, 3 waves up in 3, 3 waves down in 4, 3 waves up in 5. Likely it would be a contracting ending diagonal as it's the most common, right? And we would see that wedging, rising wedge pattern where all your homies are like, oh my God, it's okay. Don't worry about the divergences. Bitcoin might even give you the wham out of it, right? The overthrow at the top of the wedge to fuck off traders. After which it would come back in likely and find support. All your friends would want to buy it again. Then we would get the retrace to a 618, then a 702, create a little divergence, and then dump, right? That would be your cycle top. This would be the area you would be looking to reduce risk on all the positions in which you were unable to sell out on. Yes? Does that make sense? But this is far down the road. Now, in a diagonal, this can take time. It can be a long grind ass up the stairs. But it will get there eventually, yes? Excuse me, I need another drink. So in my opinion, I do not think the risk to reward is there on Bitcoin. Hello, Dr. T in the house. Thank you all for being here today. And tell your friends, you know, send the stream out on Twitter, whatever socials you guys got. We're going to be in here for quite some time, maybe another hour and a half. If you guys could keep the party going, I'm all about it. All right. So nothing from the top down on Bitcoin tells us that this is an impulse, right? It does not. So I'm not concerned. I'm not team top I'm not team the top is in yet, right? So for now, let's stay biased on being bullish and let's see what's ahead. All right, so the first chart request we got so far in the alts, guys, and I'm very excited to do this. So everybody, if you have any altcoins, just pop them in the chat. And what countries are you guys all from? I want to see, you know, who's all in the house today, who's represented. What do we got country-wise in here? I'm in America on the West Coast, as you can tell from my American accent. My old English, not proper European, not proper British. I can't speak the proper British very well. All right, let's keep it going. So yeah, it looks like the only chart request we have in so far is PENGU. So let's do that. And it's for Anon. You asked for it on the 12-hour time frame on Bybit. Okay, let's go check it out. PENGU. USDT. Where is the perpetuals on this beast? Bybit. This is the one you want. All right, let's see if what we got on the weekly, if that's all right with you. I really like to start zoomed out, and then I always kind of go in after that. So let's see what we have here. I don't know. If this is your best chart, correct me if it's not. And then we'll go from there. You let me know if there's a better chart. I'm going to keep this one in mind because I'm assuming you're trading leverage, friend, but I do want to see if there's a longer chart for me to observe the weekly time frame. Yeah, see how we have more here? We have this inception candle and a pullback. We have some price action. So I'll go back to the chart that you were on because we're just going to analyze. We're just going to do our analysis on the 3-day and daily from this low moving forward. Okay? Oh, thanks for letting me know about the RSI also, guys. What? Switzerland? Nice. The UK? Addie's holding it down for the UK. I really thought there's going to be a bunch more people in here from the UK this go round. I tried to set it up so that everybody had a time window here. I even ran the poll, and everybody was like, ah, yeah, that's a good time. All right, so let's look at this just from a perspective of the fibs, my friend, Anon, and see what's going on. So let's place an extension from the low to the high to the low, right? And again, what did we look for? We looked for the minimum 1.618 to be hit for us to declare that we think we saw a wave 3, right? So let's switch that to our impulsive template. You can then see that you get a nice move up to 2.236 to 2.618 area. Then you get a wave 4 pullback. Let's talk about something here. Let's pop some labels on to maybe help our minds. Elliott Wave is a son of a bitch, to be honest with you guys, right? There's so much in this, and it's just coming at you so quickly. I think, you know, don't get down on yourself if this takes time. This could take years for someone to learn, right? This is not easy. But what you should do is find a community of like-minded individuals that kind of aligns with who you are and start learning together, right? That will really jumpstart your learning, okay? And there's tons of communities out there, but in books too. Make sure you're reading. Make sure you're studying. Anyways, let's look at our RSI and let's look at our volume to see if it coincides with this. So we did get a slight little bit higher of a push here on volume to end the move in the possible wave 5. But the other thing that we do see is a divergence here, meaning the price action secured lower closures in comparison to the possible highs of the wave 3 on the RSI, right? And let's even use a trend line so you can see, because I think trend lines in your RSI are hypercritical to be paying attention to, right? Again, what did it show you? RSI resistance, and then it falls back, right? Keep these things in mind when you're doing stuff. All of it's going to help you in the end, right? It's going to help you move forward and learn. All right, so if that was the possible move to the upside in 5 waves, we look for a 3-wave pullback, right? And typically, just according to retracement fibs, that goes to a golden pocket retrace taken from low to the high. And if y'all ever need help making templates or understanding the fibs, reach out to me. I love talking about them. Excuse me. Burping on live, man. I'm drinking this bubbly drink. It's got me burping. I apologize. So we have the 0.5 through 702 is the most common area of interest that's found. We haven't touched that yet. The other thing that I like about this is that you do have an internal fair value gap left behind here on the daily in confluence with the 702. We have another one here of just liquidity that is left behind right for the picking at the 0.5. The next thing is you have external liquidity at these lows. Stop losses, lucky people who bought there, whatever it shall be. Now, the move to the downside could very easily be the start of something maybe, or a correction that's ending, right? We'll have to zoom in more to see what's going on. But for now, let's just stay on the daily, okay? If you wanted to say you were a spot trader and you already own some PENGU, I wouldn't be super worried, right? I would just be holding through here and seeing what's going on. Now let's add a retracement resistances, right? And let's talk about maybe a simple pattern that could be present on the screen. If you're still with me, Anon, let me know in the chat. I hope it's helpful. Let me know if you're still following. I like to call these idiot boxes or ranges or bullshit, right? Like until this is over, look at that. You're back at the 50% of this range. Until you break out of this, this is like a area, right? Now we can go to lower time frames, guys, and we can zoom in and start to talk about, oh, there's a reversal because of this, this, and this. And we'll get there, right? That's deeper on. Cool, man. Still here. Thank you. But for now, let's just stay focused on the simple shit, right? If this is a W pattern, right, that means price action comes down, forms a low, comes down, forms a second low. It needs to still approach the neckline so that we can work the technical target. Technical target of a W bottom, I like to take it from the average of the lows to the neckline, is 34%, right? So, and that's off the high. So you ain't got to be greedy here. That's 34% off that high. The other thing that I want to add to this equation for you is that if we do, yeah, dude, thank you for asking. I love doing chart requests. This is, honestly, it's super fun. I get to sit here, sip my favorite beverage, chat with my friends, cover any charts you want. I like this shit, right? I wish I could start every day this way. I'm really excited that we're going to be starting all my Mondays this way. I would rather start my Monday chatting with people like you guys who are motivated as hell and want to learn and want to better themselves than sit around with a bunch of wall-sitting people. Ooh, complain, crypto's a scam. Ooh. Shut up. Go somewhere else. Nobody wants to hear that. You know what I mean? So, anywho, the thing to remember here in Elliott Wave is that if this is a valid 5-wave motion to the upside, this motion created a 373% gain, right? According to probability and what we have seen using extensions, is that whatever this leg produces, let me show you just a simple method. Whatever this leg produces, we're expecting, again, a replicated leg in a 1-to-1. Yes? Meaning we're expecting another leg of the same size to happen from wherever support is formed. Right? So I'll be honest with you. It's an amazing risk to reward here, right? Because your invalidation for this play comes a little low, so the risk is a little steep from here, right? Because in Elliott Wave, it is at the inception point. So the risk is pretty high, right? So I'm not saying, that's why I don't say buy blindly. I always say, let's buy for reversal. Let's not try to catch knives. That's idiocy, right? You sit out here and you keep telling yourself, buy the dip, and you're singing the song and having the best day ever. Well, that dip's about to be 7 layers deep. Next thing you know, your chip's too damn heavy. The shit snaps off and you lose it all, right? Now you're that asshole at the party fishing through the salsa with your fingers. Everybody can see it on your face. You know what's happening. Got caught with your hand in the salsa jar again, right? Don't be an asshole. Wait for reversals, all right? Sorry. I'm going to be all over the board, but eventually we'll get through it all. All right. So when you look at PENGU, from here, if it did reverse, let's check for minimum time then. Let's add some stuff that's not such a maybe or I think so, right? The low is in after the 382, and it came in between a 618 and a 1.618 area and was before a 2 in time, making it likely that this could have been the low of a wave 2. So if it is, let's see really quickly what I mean by a 1-to-1 extension. Even in an ABC, this chart makes a banger of a play, right? So even in a C leg, let's get this as close as possible. A 1-to-1 is a replication of the leg you had before in a correction. Yes? That takes this to 0.041. What an amazing solid gain, yeah? So maybe you're buying the lows. I don't know. But as a spot buyer, guys, this is what I would do. So I'm like, this way, my ass don't get left behind, and I could ride some shit to the upside if it starts pumping. This is what I would do. I would make a small purchase, and I'd make a triangle here. And I would tell myself, for every $1,000 I got, I'm going to buy, let's say, $200 here. I'm going to buy $400 here. Right? Now you're at $600 and $400 here. Or make this $100 and buy again here at $300, right? Now you're only $400 in the game, and then add your last $600 here. Now you got $1,000 in the game with your average buy fucking somewhere in this fair value gap, looking for a 1-to-1 move, right? So you're gonna make almost a 4x when it does reverse, right? But at the same time, you're fixing your FOMO because you're dipping your toes in the pool. You're not watching all your fucking friends swim. You're getting your toes wet. Everything's okay, right? And if it comes down deeper, so be it. You left money behind for you to add to the game, right? And you bought the dip properly, meaning smallest purchase to heaviest purchase, as you were wrong, right? Because math typically says you're going to reverse based upon these fib retracements and the prior move possible. Okay? Now, let's say you bought the low of an impulse. First, let's finish covering this. Excuse me. Let's say you only bought the low of what would be 5 waves in an A with a B wave low, or maybe even a B wave's not in yet and it keeps correcting. Well, the most common area of interest for a C leg is the 1 through 1.382. Right? So you made an amazing purchase. You make 4 to 5.5x. Excuse me, guys. I got to stop cussing. I think I'm going to make YouTube mad. I don't even know if you're allowed to cuss on YouTube. Right? So that's a almost 350, 530, 700% gain to the 1.382, right? So this purchase could really turn into something bigger. And as long as you're mitigating your risks in crypto and you're always looking for small wins, small losses, big wins and no big losses, and you're using risk management properly with your position size and your stop loss and yabba yabba, everything will be okay. Right? Now, if this move were to turn impulsive, right? And you're like, oh, fuck, it's turning around, exploding to the upside. Then you're going to make 5 waves to the upside with 3 motive waves, meaning the first motive wave in 1, a correction in 2 like we talked about if the low is in, a minimum wave 3 retracement or extension is hit to the 1.618 at 0.10. That means this thing would be doing crazy shit and going to 10 cents, then a small pullback, and then a last push. Now, do you see how small these candles are on the daily, right? We're like, I got to squint to see it. When this happens, a lot of times I need to go to the larger time frame. For me, when I go to a larger time frame on this, to keep myself realistic, I like to go to linear when I'm on the 3-day or the weekly, guys. This does change my targets, but the percentage gains are still going to be amazing. What's up, Sten the Man? Haven't seen you in a bit. We go way back, dude. How many years have we known each other? Quite a bit through YouTube and even the Coins Kid, I think, is where we originally had met each other. But anywho, a wave 3 gain from here is 200% on linear, and a wave 5 gain from here on linear would be 283%. These are still amazing gains, right? And it helps keep you kind of level-headed as you move forward on those larger time frames, weekly, 3-day, to maybe look at it on linear, right? We'll also be aware of log, and we'll trade that. But this PENGU could really make some big gains. Thank you for that chart, Anon. Do you have any other questions about it, sir? And if you do, you let me know, and we'll cover them. I will be putting up this recording with timestamps, guys, so if you ask charts during it, know that it'll be timestamped and put in the YouTube for you as soon as I'm done, okay? All right, let's go see what the next chart is here that we got, guys. All right, we did PENGU. What else was there? I don't want to miss any. You guys will learn in time. I'm horrible at reading, but eventually we get where we're going. So there's PENGU. Oh, next one is, could we review CRV? Yeah, let's take a peek at it. So CRV, we recently took some shorts in the community on it, and it went amazing. So let's go back to our log chart. Now, when we look at this motion here, for me, in my opinion, right? Opinions are like assholes. We all have them and they all stink. This looks like a 3-wave motion, right? It's really hard for me to get behind a range this long and then where's its partner range if it was a wave 4, right? At one point in time, you could have convinced me this was a wave 4, but then we break rules and now it's not, right? We've even given overlap. So we completely just pissed on that scenario. So that's out the door, right? So when I was looking at this and we were talking back and forth in the community the other day, we were actually in a live stream in the Discord. We noted that, hey, what if this is the start of something to the downside, right? Meaning, could this be the beginning of a move and only 3 waves up that corrects to a 1.382, right? And again, we were looking at that and being like, oh, wow, that means that this original leg here to the downside could get a partner leg for CRV. That's another 74% drop measured from the 0.84 area, right? So if we do 74% from here, on average, that takes CRV down to 0.21. I don't own any more of this, right? We all in the Discord were selling out, or at least talking about selling out. Catalonia. Hey, AM, I'll have to look that up and see where that is. That's sick. So if that's only a 3-wave motion to the upside, right? We're looking for that same 1-to-1 we chatted earlier, guys, right? On PENGU. So this is the complete opposite. You're looking for a 1-to-1 to the downside. I personally am staying on the sidelines, right? We made amazing money on this out of the 3-wave pullback to the upside. We were talking about a possible inverse head and shoulders here with a possible back test. It fell just shy of that technical target, right? If we measure that technical target from a rough estimate of the closures of the head to a rough area of the neckline, it's 65%, right? You'll see you fall shy of that, right? By a lot of it. Because why? You rejected at the 1 through 1.382 corrective extensions. You'll see this is a trend that will happen over and over again. But if you will just learn the extensions, you won't be confused. You'll know exactly what you're doing, right? All right, so let's zoom in again and see how could this have been the start of something to the downside, and why did I take a short? Why did I post it to people in the Discord? Why? What were we on about? If this is 5 waves to the downside and a 3-wave retracement with an easy invalidation, this could again be 5 waves to the downside, right? This is where I left my shorts and posted to everybody in our Discord study room. I said before it got there, I said this 618 through 786 could be a decent area to start to de-risk those shorts, right? So I start tailoring out of my shorts. Now, what this does to the upside, meaning does this break 1 through 1.382, will tell us if we look for more shorts or do we start to get into longs. Yeah? So if we have, again, this motion to the upside, I'm going to start looking for shorts again on CRV. Doesn't mean I'm just entering blindly. I'm going to start looking for them up to from 64 to 67. But I would say you also have what? You have internal fair value gap left behind here. So you might even get a wick above the 1.382. You can also see it was here. It's just a whole area left behind where this price action is like dancing a whole lot, right? So let's be watching for this. Let's see if there's a rejection. If there's not, boom. This thing breaks out of a damn deceleration channel, finds support. You have a whole different kind of play. Then we switch to longs, right? We're never fixated on a bias. That's how you become a hodler. That's how you get stuck in the game forever and always. You're like, fuck it, shit went sideways, I'll just hold on. It's okay. All right, let's go check the chats and see, do you have any questions over CRV 6 treble? You just let me know. All right. Seja. I think that's Kate, Switzerland. Hype. Looking for an entry. Thought about 37.38. Kate, by chance, do you know which exchange you would like me to look at on Hype for you? Let's go see what I can find while I wait. I gotta turn off my handy dandy marker. I'll sit here and make noob marks all day if not. All right, Hype. USDT, I'm guessing. We'll look at MEXC, sure. All right, it's in a target box. You were thinking about getting into this. Let me see the numbers again. Excuse me for having to read back and forth. I don't want to mess this up and forget what you said. 37.38. So first let's talk about where we're at, maybe on this chart, and we'll go from there. Wow. All right. So with all the chop and bullshit in this move, in my opinion, if this is your best chart on hype, I'm going to call this a correction to the upside. That's just eating up the liquidity in this inception wick. So do you see this big ass rejection wick down? We just got past the 50% line. You make support on it. Maybe eat up a little more liquidity, right? Get up here a little higher. But the risk to reward on this is not so good, right? And maybe that's just me. But for my strategies, I'm more concerned of the rejection at 1.382. Look at this. Look at these extension respect. 382 support, 618 resistance, 618 support, 786 resistance, 786 resistance. One line, 786 support, back above the one line, right? Like it's respecting this really well. And it's just eating up all the liquidity of the assholes in here. So in my opinion, it's most likely at some point to do a decent retracement. So even me, 37.38 wouldn't be enough. I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't care about it at that point. Maybe there's a different chart that will persuade me a different way. Let me know, Kate, if there is one, and we'll cover it. Max see some wicks usually. Yeah, but that wick won't matter. What I'm saying is this march up the stairs looks like shit, right? I'll look at the KuCoin also, but that's overlapping price action with no displacement, right? I don't give a shit about this. Even on this chart, let's use our new style fib template from a high to a low. And let's go to new style, and you'll watch nothing but amazing reactions. Yes? Again, break the 105. Where does it go, guys? We just learned this multiple times. 618, 702 is our first area of interest after support's made on a 236. Pin bar support 236. Get to the golden pocket area. Where's next area of interest? 12366 through 1.382. Yes? I personally am not trying to buy into this to try to ride this because the risk of downside is greater than the risk of upside, right? I'm starting to build divergences. On my RSI, I haven't even checked the volume yet. That's our RSI. That was old resistance. You're coming through it now, But for right now, you're continuously building a regular bear divergence, meaning you're making higher price action closures, the flats of the candles, and lower RSI. Let's check the volume. What else do you see? Dog shit, yes? Volume's dying the whole time, not supporting the move. This is bullshit. This is me losing money, right? This is me saying, that's fucking worth it, bro. Everybody on Twitter's shilling it. Everybody on the damn internet's pushing it. No time for shit like this, right? There's way better plays, and we'll get to those later in the stream. A big one would be AERO. Risk to reward heavily outweighs what this thing looks like. This looks not so hot, right? All right, let me know if you have any questions over this one, Kate. All right, yeah, you guys are too kind. Brilliant. These are just guesses, dude. These are just guesses based upon the fibs, right? Nobody's ever going to know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what these charts are going to do. I don't care what people tell you. They're like, I know, and blah, blah, blah. Man, just shut up. Yes, people will try to tell you all day, coin X is going to this many dollars, and then this going to this many dollars. They're assholes, right? Those people don't have your best interest in mind. They have their view count in mind, right? I don't give a shit if people show up to this or not. I'm making money either way. I'm having a great time, and you know what it allows me to do? It allows me to focus my energy on the people who are really craving to learn strategy, who really want to move up to the next level of the game. Not the people who just toss money at shit, right? You just go on somewhere else. Keep on walking. All right. That was that chart. Let's keep on going. Thank you guys. You're way too kind, dude. Way too kind. All right. So we did CRV. We did hype. Thank you for those. Again, I will timestamp all these for you guys. Uh-oh, someone took a message, AIOTA. You're still there. What's up, Jamie? Evening, brother. All right. Looks like you got the next chart with V-Chain, or VET, as the kids call it nowadays. I remember when everybody was like super hyped on this project, right? Everybody was like, oh my God, V-Chain? Oh, God, it paired with the DHL packaging company and it's going to go to the moon. It's going to go to fucking $2, right? Everybody's telling you all this crazy shit it was going to do. But yet it's done nothing, right? So on a weekly, literally nothing, right? This Chinese cryptocurrency coin could shit its thighs at any moment. I would say with your boy Donald Trump at the helm, he's not your biggest Chinese cryptocurrency guy, but just maybe if ifs and buts are candies and nuts, this could turn into something to the upside. We talked much earlier on about everything in Elliott Wave moving in 5 waves and 3 waves. Well, I'll be honest with you. It's the most 3-wave looking shit you've ever seen. 3 waves to the upside is not an impulse. It is a correction. It is not the start of something strong. Now, can it later chain something together to the upside? Yes. Let's go to the daily and talk about the low probability possible bullish count that could be on the table and what makes it low probability. Yes? But nonetheless, a plausible count. So let's say this is a 5-wave motion to the upside. As a standard impulse, what does it do that breaks the rules of Elliott Wave, right? We only have a couple hard rules in Elliott Wave, right? One of the rules in Elliott Wave is wave 3 cannot be the shortest wave. Yes? So let's test that out first. How would we do that? We would compare, let me get this here magnet to help my old eyes. We would compare wave 1 from a low of 1 to the high of 1 to the low of 2. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Wave 3 is shorter than wave 1. Now, let's check the wave 3 measure against the wave 5 measure. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Wave 5 is longer than wave 3, right? So if wave 5 is longer than wave 3 and wave 1 is longer than wave 3, that makes wave 3 the shortest wave, right? So there's one rule break. There's one fucking not the best look, right? The second rule break is just got said in the chat by Addy. Good job. Wave 4 looks a little long, right? So even if we give this all the street cred in the world and we go from high to low of 2, like we did earlier when we looked at our Bitcoin scenario, and we go to the high of 3, you can see what, guys? Respect. But where did it happen? After the 1-to-1. Meaning that this wave 4 is longer than the wave 2. So if all of this is happening, right, and you have wave 4 overlapping into wave 1, this would have to be a leading, expanding diagonal, right? This is highly likely that you are wrong. Okay? I think that for now, the better thing to do would be to not label it as an impulse. And you could lie to yourself and say it's an A or W to the upside. But I think it's a corrective motion. And corrective motion down and waiting for the last move to the upside, right? You have internal fair value gaps here. If you look to the left here on the daily or liquidity that was left behind that this could very easily be going to. Yes? Now, if you add extensions to this, excuse my click, you can see how if you build a pivot here, that 1-to-1 that we talked about earlier would give an opportunity to get to that fair value gap, that internal liquidity left behind. And again, you have bullish order flow on the highs of liquidity left behind as external liquidity. I'm not saying this can't march its ass up the stairs. I'm just saying how it starts is a little bullshitty, right? So 2 things I would do if I was holding spot on this coin was, I would keep holding. I'd place a base channel from low to high for right now. I would place an extension, trend-based fib extension, from 0 or the low to the A or high to the low of a B or 2, right? Let's look at our retrace support that was found there also from low to high. So get your retrace tool from low to high. I think the best thing you can do is make templates, save you a little bit of time. If you ever want help, let me know. Golden Pocket template set up in the Discord community falls right to a 702. Guys, when we're watching market tops, this is a trading gem here for anybody who actually watches this damn stream. When we see a top come in for a market, right? Imagine with me, just live action role play with me here. Let me see if I can invert the chart to actually make it easier on you. If this was a macro chart, right? And it was called Coin X and you just didn't give a shit about it. And it was moving down and it pulled up. When it made a 618 retrace resistance, fell shy and rejected at the 702, a lot of times that lets you know it could be a plausible pivot, right? Probability for the scenario would shift away from what I'm describing if the 786 is broken, right? But this here was a blockchain backer tactic that I learned in his course years ago, right? He had like a basic course for 30 bucks. I studied my ass off. That's how I found out the 702. And I back tested the probability and I saw, yo, when we get a rejection or reaction at a 618, then a 702, we often build a big, strong pivot. So if we had the opposite here, and that was a low, right? It occurs as a 618 and a 702. Let's check our RSI. What else do you see on the RSI, guys, on those lows? Price action lows for VeChain. Regular bull divergence on the RSI, right? That means what? It made lower closures on RSI, or on price action, but not on RSI. This is how VeChain could make that pump to the upside. Either A, to turn into a really good play, or B, to de-risk some of those spot bags in the green, right? I remember, again, we're team the... I almost said the F word again. We're team the tops, not in. Meaning, we're looking for altcoins to put on a show at some point still. But that can't occur until we get the recipe. What's the recipe for altcoin season? Bitcoin dominance needs to go down while Bitcoin's price goes up. When that occurs, altcoins go ape shit. We all get paid. Until that starts, you ain't got jack diddly. Yes, guys? All right. So get your stuff on here, my dudes. The next thing I want to check on those lows is volume. What do we notice here about the volume? Anybody? It slowly overall was dropping. Yes, the macro overall volume dropped here. Let's also go check on this one. When that kind of happens and I can't see it really clearly, I like to go check the market Cypher B's money flow and see what it was doing, right? So price action pushing down deeply. Money flow is not going bearish, right? Here's still the peak on money flow with an inverse head and shoulders, fucking 4 hump bumps, and it flips, right? Money flow's overall green. It's not going red. It's not giving up easy. If anything, it's starting to pinch back up, right? And the selling volume is waning off. They're losing momentum, right? You can even see it here on your indicator. On your blue momentum waves, you have a higher closure on momentum, but a lower closure on price action, right? Look where money flow was back here. Money flow was low as shit. Red as hell. Price action goes deeper, but money flow does not. This could potentially reverse. The other thing that you should note here on a daily is what? Look at your VWAP. It's about to do the VWAP flop, right? You got your market Cypher B VWAP, yellow line. Once it pierces the center, excuse me guys, I've been sick for a while, have a little bit of a cough. Once it pierces this center line and finds support on top of it, it'll do the VWAP flop. That's not something I can't with. Someone much brighter than me. So many colors. Tito, what's up, my dude? I love all the colors. They're beautiful. But when the VWAP comes up and overfinds support, you have the money flow that's diverging. You have the momentum that's diverging. We have the damn RSI diverging. All of these things. It's amazing. The result can be quite bullish. So keep your eyes on VeChain. The other thing that you should note is what? This is something that we talk about as a recipe that could come into play is when we have what kind of divergences at the same time. Hidden divergences with regular bull, right? So this one almost made it a little bit iffy to try to call, but this is a good coin to keep your eyes on, right? So let's look for the center line. Let's look for the 0.618 gateway drug at 0.3237. And we'll look for upside after that. And we'll continue to march this one around in the Discord and chart its lower time frames. But for now, just be aware of this, okay? All right, let's go see what the next coin is. And you please let me know if you have any other questions over VeChain, my dude. All right, let's keep on going. And the chat's getting fired off, dude. I can barely go back and find the charts at this point. I should start writing down the requests as I see them come in, guys, so that I don't lose them. Or if I could have someone from the Discord help me out with what the next chart request was. We did CRV, IOTA. Sorry about that, dude. I missed IOTA for you. Let me go back and hit IOTA. All right. Let me know if you guys have any other charts, or if I'm missing them, you call me out. Chew my ass. Get me back on track. All right. Let me get a sip of something to drink here. Man, ever since I got sick, it's like trying to talk on stream for too long and your throat just feels so tight and tense. I got me a blood orange kombucha today. A little bit of bubbles, a little bit of probiotics for the belly. Keep it all happy. Keep it all happy. All right, IOTA, let's do that next. Thank you for that. All right, let's delete everything and start to talk so you guys can see how I would go about this and how we went about this in the Discord. All right, so the first things first. When you're looking at this move and you tell yourself, what in the is this to the upside, right? Let's use extensions to remove some of our subjectivity and add a little bit of objectivity here into what we think may be going on. So we have a move up and a move down. That successive move up does what, guys? Breaks 1 through 1.382 corrective extensions. Forces me over to calling it an impulse, right? And then it makes a fallback in 3 waves, right? And immediately almost hits our average wave 5 target when we use extensions from 0 to 1 to 2. Right? Average wave 5 target when taken from 0 to 1 to 2 is 2.236, right? Bang on. Nice. So let's delete that. The next thing I like to look for is a hidden bull divergence between my wave 4 and my wave 2. We didn't get it. By that I mean in an uptrend measured along the lows of price action. We'll get to this here in a minute of how you could have made an absolutely banger of a short, but you didn't know any better yet. You usually in a wave 4 will make hidden bull divergence with your wave 2, meaning lower lows on RSI, meaning the RSI would have came down lower here in 4 than it did in 2, but not on price action. In this example, it did not, which is okay. Let's look at the volume that we built during this move. Because it's a FOMO-y wave 3 with a possible 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 waves within wave 3, it typically will have the highest volume and the highest oscillation. In this case, we made a slightly bigger oscillation on the RSI here, but you can see the volume falls off and doesn't support the move up. That tells you that this could have reversed. Let's look at our market cipher B momentum and see what it thought. So do you see the market cipher B momentum would have tested better here than the RSI did. We had a momentum divergence with the lopsided boobies and a sell dot telling you to GTFO. You also had bearish candle formations coming in. The next thing that I promised you we would talk about would be what, guys? When we talk about moves going to the upside or an impulse, we look for an acceleration to occur. That typically occurs between the wave 2 and the wave 3. That's your displacement or your acceleration. So we put an acceleration channel on that from the lows of 2 to the lows of 4 to the highs of 3. You can see that this starts to what? Validate the channel with reactions to the center line. Then where does your rejection come in? At the top of the acceleration channel. This is absolutely beautiful, right? Absolutely beautiful. Right, so we have everything here to tell you, hey, there's a recipe on the table that this was potentially a big deal, right? Potentially a valid 5 waves to the upside. So what are bulls looking next for IOTA? They're looking for a minimum what? 111% move. It's a banger of a trade, right? Sorry guys that I like to cover everything. If you're not into education, I'm not the guy for you. If you're just here for trade calls, I'm not the guy for you, right? I am just a dude in a bathrobe making his best guesses, but I promise you this math, these fibs, shit works, okay? All right, let's check the target of a wave 5 along with that acceleration channel. So let's go from the low or 0 point to the highs of 3 to the lows of 4. Thank you guys for getting those chart requests back in so I don't miss them. We will do all of these. You guys got me fired up. Remember our wave 5 target goes to 618 of the 0 to 3 to 4. Bang, right on. Yeah, so we have everything here to tell us risk versus reward, my invalidation being the lows of my structure. This son of a bitch could go. IOTA could go. It could pay out big risk to reward, return on investment, right? So we're here on the daily. Let's talk about the oh shit scenario. It's just an ABC to the upside. Nameless monster, Toshi and FARTBOY. You got it. We'll get to those. Thank you for coming by, yo. Let's go from 0 to 5 to whatever the hell the low is currently and talk about it being an ABC, right? This is just if current price action provides a low there, okay? So that would be 5 waves in A, pullback in B, and only a 1 through 1.382 is made for the C leg, right? But who gives a shit? That's a minimum what? 1-to-1 target or 111% to 153 to nearly 200%, 180%. Now let's say this flips impulsive, right? Then we're looking for a wave 3 and a wave 5. Yes, this is how this little play, like we talked about earlier, guys, right? What do we like? We like big wins when they are able to happen by luck. Don't count on them. So we're not counting on a wave 3 and 4 and 5. We're saying maybe, right? But now you could see the targets. That's how wave 3 gets up around 54 cents. And the wave 5 gets up to the 2.236 at 0.85 cents, right? That's how this little play that was 111% return on my investment becomes 240 to 420. 420, bro! But yeah, it could work out, right? So also, guys, if you do have charts, it always helps me to know things like, are you a spot holder of this already? Are you looking to get into the project? Are you looking for leverage? Are you already in leverage? If you're in leverage, what's your liquidation? I can't give you financial advice, but I can tell you what my ass would do, right? According to the fibs, my best guesses. All right, let me know if you have any questions over IOTA. That's how this could turn into a 4X play, right? So we have 100% on the table all the way up to 400%. But we're not going to get ahead of ourselves, and we're just going to wait to see what happens. The very first fibs that you're going to need to be watching on IOTA is those corrective trend-based fibs at the gateway drug, not 0.618 extension, right? The very next thing I would do is use my magnet in an uptrend and go from low to high with a base channel that encompasses the acceleration to the upside and the correction. I would look for this next quarter psychological area of interest and the 0.618 as that next area of interest, right, guys? And then maybe from there you might have to de-risk, especially if it makes a small 5 wave to the upside. If by chance this gives you something with a look like this, guys, and there's divergence here again, fuck your entry here, excuse my French as they would say, de-risk into the divergence and look to buy back in a three-wave pullback into wherever this internal fair value gap is that's left behind, right? Because you see how this is a double top candle? If we smash this out with a body, we're going to take some of it back, okay? All right, let's move on to the next one. We did IOTA. Thank you guys for helping me keep up to speed here in the chat. All right, after IOTA was AERO. Let's do that, and then we'll move on. All right, so AERO has been a hell of a play for the Discord community. Also, anyone who liked watching YouTube, right? Because I did post this on YouTube for everybody to see. Let's remove everything. Now, our very minimum retracement target, right, was the golden pocket template that we were looking at. Sorry, guys. Got mush mouth sometimes. You come bang onto the 0.5 and you fall back into what? The internal fair value gap left behind from the breakout. By that, just what we just showed you, right? Flat top on the candle, heavy resistance, pushes through with a breaking candle, finds support on 50 EMA, finds support on the 50 EMA, finds support on the 50 EMA. You guys, these are simple tools that you can use. Finishes the correction. Fair value gaps filled. Minimum golden pocket retrace template is filled. Happy days, right? Then what do we need to do? We know that we built a pivot. We need to put a channel on it. What do we see? After 3 points of connection, great center line reactions validating a channel. We're looking next area of interest, top of channel, right? That's without even talking about extensions. All right, let's get our AERO extensions on from a low to a high to a low. Move that off to the side. Next area of interest comes in at 90 cents at the gateway drug, not 0.618 like we talked, right? Then we talk about the 1-to-1 through 1.382. Just like in the YouTube video. That's how you get AERO up to the $1.27, $1.35 to $2 range, right? Now, if AERO turns into something, and by something, I mean the angle of the dangle keeps pursuing this like it is, it will leave a base channel, find support, push again, and hit what? A minimum wave 3 target at a 1.618, right? After which, you do not want price action to come back in a base channel, or this was an ABC to the upside, and you are fucked, as they would say. So what you want after hitting a minimum wave 3 extension at 1.618 is a nice little mellow pullback, maybe to the prior degree wave 4 if it's super painful, and then you want one more high, right? AERO could really get this thing popping, right? And that's why I said this, a possible 10x coin. But for now, let's stay focused on the road that's right ahead of us and not get crazy trained into thinking this has to go to impulsive extensions. Let's stay focused on the oh shit, it may never get impulsive. Maybe it's just an ABC to the upside and I'm wrong. Shit, even sometimes an extended wave C can hit the 1.618, but it's what it does after that that's hypercritical. If it don't give you a shallow 3-wave pullback that deeply resets RSI with the possible wave 2, it didn't happen, right? Okay, let's keep going. That's AERO, guys. Let me know if you have more questions over that one. I've taken quite a few leverage plays here on it, as I know a lot of people in the community have. Show you a couple here. Anytime we're getting these 3-wave pullbacks on this coin, what have you noted on the RSI? Let me show you. 3-wave pullback, right? Here was the lows of that 3-wave pullback. It makes an inverse head and shoulders on your RSI at the 50 level. This was one of my longs, right? Anytime you get a 3-wave pullback that gives what? Hidden bull divergence, meaning price action did not come lower, but RSI did. Again, what? Price action did not come lower, but RSI did. There's another long. Here's another long at center line, a 3-wave pullback with hidden bull divergence on that time frame. Gave another long, right? No fear. Trust in the system. You will get paid. I don't send the bullshit screenshots. I made 100%. I made 80%. I don't need your validation, right? I think we all share our areas of interest and we see how it goes, right? You learn the strategies, you get paid. It's just that easy. All right. After AERO, we had what in the even hell is this coin? IAOZ. Huh. IAOZ? I've never seen that one. Is it what is that coin? I don't think that's what you meant. Let me check if there was another post of it. Bye, buddy. Bye, Addy. We'll timestamp everything so you guys can find it. If you have charts, get them in and I'll timestamp them. Make sure they're done for you guys. We've only been going for an hour and a half. Don't be weak. All right, let's see what we got next. I cannot find, I think you might have meant AIOZ. Yeah, that's what I think too. There's so many damn cryptocurrencies. I'm over here trying to like de-scramble the code and see what in the hell's going on. You know what I mean? AIOZ. Yeah, it makes completely more sense. Okay, guys, why was this move important and why did we note it early on? It could have been a 5-wave motion, right? On AIOZ. Let's get rid of all that shit. Let's go to a daily and to a weekly. And let's talk about these things also. Yes? Thanks for the chart. So on a weekly, let's just delete everything so we can start nice and fresh here. On a weekly, you see a potential 5-wave motion to the upside here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? After which you have a 3-wave motion to the downside and a 3-wave motion to the upside and a 5-wave motion to the downside. What this does is lead me into thinking that we have a wave 1 and a wave 2. Let's put these up here for good government work later in case we need them. Or an A in 5 waves, expanded flat in B, or 2, we don't know yet, and we go for a C. Due to this being on the weekly, I would prefer to do this work on logarithmic just for now. When we zoom in, we can bullshit on the other things. Now, as you guys know, I'm like a squirrel. I'm all over the place seeing stuff. So one thing I want to talk about here on the weekly. This candle by itself, with the long ass scary handle, is a bearish candle by itself, right? But in combination with 3 candles, meaning a pivot gets formed here, this gives us the potential to say a low could be in. But we need a full-bodied, weekly closing, bullish engulfing candle that looks like this, yes? Until we get this, that's not what's happening, yeah? All right, so if on the weekly we do believe in these targets, let me go back so we can see the screen, then what we're going to be looking for is those linear targets to the upside. Let's delete everything. Let's put an extension from a general low to a high to a low. All right. Let's add the 2.236 just in case shit goes bananas one day. And a wave 5. And let's label her up. If this is only A and you made a giant B and you're only going for C, you expect 1 through 1.382, right? Amazing risk to reward here. As the first move up yielded what? That's retarded. The first move up yielded 8 to 10,000% depending on the aspect in which you were viewing this. That's incredible. I'm not going to count on that happening again. But what I would do is leave my extensions on for AIOZ and go to linear weekly targets. Off of that pivot, right? This meaning the lower pivot, you could get up to the 600% at $1.24, all the way up to the top of a C target average at 833%. And if a wave 3 were to happen, AIOZ could potentially be a 10x coin, making it to $1.90 or close to the $2 range. After that, you would look for it to continue onward to the 2.236, and this would have overall yielded a 1,300% reward to $2.57, right? But I'd really, these are long-winded. Is it likely to happen? Probably not. So don't get pigeonholed into thinking this has to happen just because you saw a dude on the internet say it, right? It never, ever means that. Okay, let's go look at what our next target, or not our next target, our next coin. Let's go see here. AIOZ we did. Then we have XRP. Thank you guys for helping keep me in the pace. Let's take a peek at this really quickly. Does anybody see what I see on the 15-minute? What would make anyone who's been in the Discord for a little bit might know these type of things. It's a little wonky, but we'll fix it. When price action starts arcing like this, if you're able to get a full-bodied candle to kind of finish off one of these larger time frame arcs, a lot of times these really play out for some explosive moves that no one saw coming, right, guys? So let's be paying attention to Bitcoin also, because remember, if Bitcoin's price is going up while its dominance goes down, like we talked about, our next area of interest, our next range of interest was 113 to 114. Let's go check that Bitcoin dominance really quickly. I haven't peeked at this yet today. Hope you guys are liking the stream. I hope it's going well. Yeah, we're gonna go back to XRP. I just wanted to check the dominance real quick. When I see Bitcoin price pumping, I gotta look, right? Because I'm in a Bitcoin long. I apologize for doing a bunch of shit at once, guys. But I'm actively long on Bitcoin and actively long on AERO. So when I have money on the table, I'm going to check it too. All right. So far, I'd say on the daily, which is I don't go really below the daily for dominance. You are rejecting at a 786, so let's keep that going. All right, let's go look at XRP really quick from my dudes. And let's start on a 3-day gang. You know what? Fuck. It's such a good chart. I love XRP. Made a great deal of profits on this. This is a great coin. I think what you're looking for here is a possible last move to the upside for the wave 5 of XRP. And when we take those extensions from 0 to 3 to 4, that gives us our first wave 5 target around $3.70. With the ultimate target being $6.20. I can only imagine that by the time XRP ever finds its way up to $4, $3.70, $6.20, that the internet is going to be going ape shit, right? Same thing we talked about Bitcoin. They're going to be like, this is the super cycle. XRP to $27. Everybody's getting paid. But it's not going to happen that way, right? These are just people on the internet trying to help themselves get higher view counts and be ultimately way more bullish than they should, to either A, hope that you'll buy their shit, or B, to just overall build their view counts off of hype and bullshit, right? Let's trust in the actual extensions that are particular to this trend. All right, now let's zoom in and talk about what I think we could be seeing here on the daily. Right? Since it's a wave 5, do you remember what we talked about on Bitcoin? We were like, oh shit, what if wave 5 ends in an ending diagonal? That could happen here also, right? Meaning we're looking, excuse my clicks here, let's get rid of that. Meaning you could be looking for a wave 3. I put these on here the other day in our live stream in the community. That is a contracting ending diagonal, meaning that the wave 3 does not get bigger than the wave 1, right? It can, according to new diagonal rules. meaning it can hit the 1-to-1. It can slightly extend and get up here. Right? If we get a direct drive up, maybe that's the wave three of the ending diagonal, but we'll figure that out when we get there. Now, I would say this $3 range, 281 to $3 might be the area of interest for this wave 3. After which we look for a wave 4 that slightly pulls back, that takes less time and depth than the 2, right? That's if the 2 was done here, right? You see how there's a lot of ifs, right? Because this correction's quite ugly and hard to make out, which is good. This is possibly how you would start a diagonal anyways. It would look like shit. Then you would get a final 5th wave that would finish it off, even though everybody would be going nuts and telling you it's going to the moon. The problem with ending diagonals is they're all built in 3-wave motions to the upside, right? So everything's 3 waves overlapping and just looks like shit. But overall, I think that XRP is bullish on the macro, right? Oh, someone else likes KAITO. You guys are the KAITO dealers. The problem here, and what I would be most worried about, is that if we had one, wherever the hell my marker's at, is that if we had one more leg of correcting, right? If this come down, gave a leg up, and still gave another leg to the downside, this would be the possible low of the 2 in the diagonal at that point, and then we would look for the move up, right? And then a move down, and then a move up. Maybe that's how we get to those higher targets, okay? But I think overall, XRP's bullish. I believe in the project still. I'm not a team the top is in yet. Not team the top is in on Bitcoin yet either, but let's see what happens. Okay, let's see what we have after XRP. Okay, new summary. We did XRP, let's move into JASMY. Thank you for helping me. All right, let's only stay fixated here on the kind of 8-hour, 4-hour time frame from now because it's going to be the most possible to form a reversal. We can see what on the RSI, guys. Again, at an area of interest, what did we do? You came into your 0.5 through 702 buying area where you buy a little bit more, and a lot of it, right? When it happened, you formed what? A regular bull divergence on the RSI, meaning lower closures on price action, but not RSI on an 8-hour time frame. Meaning that a move to the upside could be coming. Could be inevitable, right? Let's look at the volume on those lows. You can see that we end on high sell volume, meaning the low of a possible correction could be in, right? Along with that divergence, let's start looking into what could be next then, right? So let's go back to a daily. This is either a 1 or an A to the upside. And you were looking for a C or a 3. On the daily, this is how JASMY could get up to 0.3390 to 0.4881, right? That's amazing gain on the table for JASMY from here. Still, right? That's 147 to 255%. If JASMY can validate a wave 3 and break the old highs, it goes 340%. If it makes a wave 5, 700%. These are amazing gains on the table. Then when we zoom out again on the weekly, you can see the possibility that this could have made a 5-wave move to the upside also, right? So you could have something much bigger on the table. JASMY could do something much bigger. I'm not going to show those targets because they're lavish and it's bullshit. First, let's get through what we got going on there on the daily to those next targets, and then we'll figure out more, right? Makes sense? All right, so we did JASMY. Let's do live peer token. I think we did this one last stream also. Someone asked for it. Looking at my list here. Yeah, according to my last list, we did this in my last stream at the 21-minute mark. So this is our TA from that 21-minute mark. So let's see how we did. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Reject at what? 1 through 1.382, right, guys? Ends on high volume. What does that make this likely to the upside? An ABC, right? So you could have possible 5 waves in A, correction in B, and a possible 5 waves in C, and she is Dunsky, right? The other thing that you should be noticing is what on the RSI. Basically hidden bull divergence, right? You make nearly a higher high on the RSI, but not on price action. Your RSI, which closed on a price action at $11.86, outran your RSI at a price action closure of $19.84 in a 3-wave motion to the upside that stops at 1 through 1.382, like noted in the last stream, and rejects at a 702 on high volume. In my opinion, this could sit through a leg to the downside, right? It could give that partner leg to the $1.90 range. I would be leery on this project, okay? It's just my opinion, right? I can't give financial advice, just my best opinions, and this one is not so hot. Again, here was another opportunity to GTFO out of this project. 3-wave motion to start. That's just a correction. A 3-wave motion connects it, and then 5 waves to the upside. Rejection. Never reclaimed. That was your chance to get out of the project. It also ended on high volume, right? It's likely corrective bullshit to the upside, and I don't know anything about this project, but they're likely dumping onto you. Breaks below 1 point, or doesn't ever break above 1.382. Never leaves the corrective pocket. Makes hidden bear divergence on the RSI. Ends on high volume. These are corrective bullshit moves to the upside to take your money, folks. Right? Live peer token, again, 3-wave motion. Ends on high volume. Doesn't break 1 through 1.382. These are moves to take your money. Get the fuck out. All right. Next coin. And if it blows up, great. You made some money. But I'm telling you right now, probability-wise, these are never good. All right. Let's look at Toshi Kitty Kitty. Toshi Kitty Kitty is not doing so good, right? We had a possible 5 waves here that we played way early on in a 1 or A, right? And then a long pullback in which we were able to buy more, noted at an internal fair value gap, right? Which was shared with everybody in the Discord. Oh, imagine that. Price action back test, old resistance as support, and moved off of it. Yes? Amazing things happened. Now, why are we not stoked on Toshi Kitty? I'll tell you why. 3-wave motion to the upside. Ends on high volume. Causes a high oscillation. It's likely a corrective motion, right? Then 3 waves to the downside. It's likely a corrective motion. If it is lucky, it may chain together an ending diagonal in all 3-wave motions to the upside, but we can't even call that probability until wave 4 of the ending diagonal of the ABC motion. Does that make sense? And to be honest with you, this is really hopeful. Diagonals are low probability. They don't occur that often, right? So don't be counting on this shit. But this is how Toshi could get up into these higher resistances, right? We'll be watching this as it goes. Right now, you're really wanting to see Toshi get back into the bull control zone on the daily, meaning get over the 50 EMA, which is located around the current price action, and the 50 RSI on the daily. Excuse me. If it can do that, we'll then be able to confirm these extensions and say, yes, we made a low there. Yes, we're looking for the next motion to the upside in the next 3-wave leg. Or it does something we don't expect and we figure that out as we go. So we put extensions from low to high to low. And we look for that wave 3 to not be longer than the wave 1. Let me get rid of this guy so I can see better. Meaning you would only be coming up into the 786 to 618 extension and making the 3-wave pullback with overlap at that time before further 3 waves to the upside, right? So that this next wave on Toshi, if we form a pivot here and hold, could go to 0.12697 to 0.16620. Okay? So you still have great gains on the table, but Toshi could be wrapping this up in an ending diagonal with that 200% to the upside, an opportunity to de-risk, opportunity to maybe confirm the leading diagonal, and then re-enter for another 100% is my best guess. Yeah, that's what I would be looking to do. But that's just my style. Everybody has their own style. So hopefully in time, every person that's here forms their own. All right, let's go see what else we got. Give me 1 second, trying to check the chat and get a drink. All right, so we did Toshi. Let's do FARTBOY. Hopefully whoever asked for FARTBOY is still here. Let's review FARTBOY here on the local time frame first, because I already covered the macro way back. I don't really see the point of us doing that every stream. If you would like me to cover the macro, I will. What I don't like about FARTBOY is that when we put a base channel on this as a possible corrective motion to the upside, from low to high, we have amazing center line reactions and a rejection. We get a low of the base of the channel reaction, reject again, lose the channel, find it as resistance. Now, if this move wants to save its ass, FARTBOY needs to turn around most Ricky Tick and give one more high in a Y leg to the upside, right? If you were lucky at that point, this would all be making an ABC that would make people go ape shit because they would see 5 waves to the upside and be like, oh my God, it's going to $1 million. They're going to say $1. They're going to say crazy shit, but you're going to stay firm. You're going to stand firm. You're not going to give up. Okay? Let's move this across so we can see all our interactions because they're going to be amazing. Let's turn on our handy dandy 382. Look at those rejections, and then it rejects from under the base channel. Now, if you're wanting to be a bull on yield FARTBOY, you're going to want to take just the best trend line you can that gives you a lot of average touches. Trend lines are bullshit. They're not actually anything. And again, the average touches, and say I have a falling wedge, and I'm going to break out of the falling wedge eventually, and then every point of contact of my falling wedge will then become new resistance as we come up and blah, 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 blah. But until this shit happens and it back tests, we have nothing. And then we need displacement and a range and a last move. Then you get a pullback, right? That's where I would be looking to buy. For now, I'm staying hands off this, right? I'm just going to be watching. It's high risk. I don't have that kind of time to just toss money at shit. It has to have structure. It has to come back to support. AERO was an amazing example of a group of people waiting for an area of interest with divergences and sticking to a plan. IOTA also, it's going to flip and pay off too. All right. AERO, we did. Plop, 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 plop. We did Doshi. We did FARTBOY. I got DIS from Spen. If you are still here, I'm guessing this is a shit coin on the deck screener. I can't wait. What time frame would I be looking at, sir? You fell back down to support of what? Fixed range volume profile for the leg up. Happy days. Fucking walk a duck down the road. This is a great hideous low cap. All right, so let's just try to be objective for a moment here. If this was somehow wave 1 to the upside, God, it's hideous, and a wave 2, you broke impulsive extensions, happy days. That's because this is deck screener. It's going to take me forever because I can't use all my tools. I have to put them all on, so excuse my grumpy voice while I finish. So let's see if we made a wave 5 measure here. The magnet, your friend and enemy. Let's look for our wave 5 target. Falls just shy of a 0.618, but that's okay. What we notice here is a divergence on the RSI and high volume in the wave 3 of 5. Excuse me, I just kicked my drink over. In the wave 3 of 5. And then the volume begins to fall off. Sorry, I thought I had a UPS package or something coming. My dog always knows what's going on before I do. He hears everything. All right. This is why I say we should use trend lines in the RSI. You didn't quite backtest, but boy, did you come back pretty nice. All right, so if that was a 5-wave motion to the upside, maybe, then this coin could see a move like this again. The other thing that I would want to be open to, let me try something. I don't like these low capped X coins, I will say that. So it didn't break what could be an expansion. It'd be an awful long correction. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Then this would have to be a low. Now, if this partner leg, which was average 180 to 200%, gets a partner leg, you'd be looking for off this low as current invalidation. Does that make sense? So I would say this is current validation, and let's zoom in to some degeneracy. So make sure I didn't just screw up the whole stream. If this is moving off the lows in 5-wave motions, due to this being 5-wave look and a pullback and a possible 5-wave look and maybe a pullback, there is the chance that it's 1-2 stacking on the very low time frame, meaning 5 waves in 1, pullback in 2, 5 waves in 1, a pullback in 2, right? At some point, you'd really want to see this project the next time it tries to break these highs to go for an all-out impulsive leg to confirm, right? If it does that, great. But until then, you really have nothing. So you'll have to be patient, right? If we stay here and you stay fixated on this, maybe you do get that 200% where this original leg gives a partner leg, and that would end up something like this. And we can just use our extensions to see what a 1-to-1 aspect would look like. A large part of me doesn't want to go to the ultimate high. It wants to go here. But for today, let's do it. Which would take it to a 1-to-1 at 0.02365, which would mean that from here, this DIS low cap DEX coin could potentially roll about 138% to the minimum, right? Let's stay tuned in and see what happens. The next thing that I would really like to do is be watching my retracement resistances from a high to a low. You really need to get over the 0.236 to increase the odds of going to the golden pocket to 702, right? If that occurs, this is a run, dude. This is a good 180 to 250%. It could happen. So this is one to keep on the radar. Again, this is a high-risk shitcoin. Risk very little. Can get spicy quick. All right, so we did DIS, blah, blah, blah. Addy left. We did IOTA. We did AIOZ. All right, move on, move on. Can you chart POPCAT? Yeah, let's go look at POPCAT. At least I can look at that on a regular. Oopsie, wrong window. Sorry, gang. Gang, gang, gang. I hope you guys are holding strong with me. I hope we're doing okay. How's everybody in the chat doing? Still got anybody here? Still got at least one person at least, hopefully. All right. We're on the 2-hour mark, so if I'm losing you guys, let me know. All right, let's get rid of that noob mark. All right. So POPCAT is high risk, guys. Yes, let's delete everything. Let's go to linear, actually. POPCAT is very, very high risk. Hell yeah, we still got 2 of you. That's all that matters. As long as I'm not talking to an empty room, that's what matters. Let's go from low to high to low. Let's talk about what we don't like. Yes? What I don't like is that the successive move to the upside did not hit 1.618. In Elliott Wave, nothing says it has to. It just says wave 3 can't be the shortest. So here we can verify that wave 3 is longer than wave 1. So no rule break. We'll move this up and move our lows up and talk about this being a final possible 5 waves in a wave 5. Add the good old 786. Now, in Elliott Wave in the book, it says that sometimes the wave 1 after a reversal will not get a really strong move with lots of displacement. Again, guys, that could be what we're seeing here. Okay, so I'm going to stay on linear because I think we're going to have pretty high targets to be aiming for that I think will be more realistic on linear. So again, let's label this up as a potential move in an A or 1, in a low, in a possible B or 2, going for the C or 3. Yes? Let's add a base channel to the move from low to high in an uptrend. It's going to be a shit ton of education in this live, so always feel free to review it or re-watch it. It really, really is helpful stuff in here. So let's go from 0 to A to B or 0 to 1 to 2. It doesn't matter what you want to say. And let's look for that minimum wave C target to 82 cents. But if it's lucky, it will get a really strong angle of the dangle here, break out of a base channel. And at that point, it would be giving probability, right, to a wave 3. By that, I mean it would probably give 5 waves here and a pullback. And 5 waves that are building up, a slight pullback, finish the 3. Then give another pullback, and then a final push. If this happens, POPCAT could go to the 146 range, where we have a wave 3 target at 114, right? So you can already see how the ABC would be an amazing upside target. Now, if you go and you get the big win and you're lucky, right, you get a wave 3, a 4, and a 5, you made a much bigger play. The original leg on this was 430% up. It could easily do that again. Yes? And I urge you all to review. We did this on Pepe last year. We made 1,400% on Pepe last year, right? So why can't it happen again? Yes? This is where we bought Pepe in the triangle, right? I sold out early. Who gives a shit if you missed the tops? I made 1,400%, right? So if Pepe can do it, it's just a frog on the internet, POPCAT can do it. Okay? Let me know your thoughts on that, guys. That was for you. Oh, you said micro, DN. Oh, let's go back. Sorry, sir. I apologize. For the micro, would you be okay with me doing this on a MEXC chart, sir? Guessing by micro, you mean like an hour. I really don't want to go below an hour, and I don't think anyone should. Let's delete everything. This would be a really shitty start to something if it was to be impulsive, right? You can see that on hourly. Let's look at the RSI. RSI is all cranked ass. Let's check the volume. It's kind of not ending on high volume, but sure wasn't looking that great. We want this volume to keep coming in, right? Now, if you're going to do this and you're going to be high risk and you're going to be saying you're already in it, I'm guessing that's why you're asking on the micro, then you have to be aware of where invalidation would be. And everything that matters in price comes from higher highs and higher lows, right? And higher highs and higher lows, and higher highs and higher lows. As long as this structure is continuing to hold and you're staying above the 50 EMA, there's a chance that this hourly could be giving you the reversals, right? Same thing here. You want to stay above your 50 level of your RSI. If you continue to do these things, you could see POPCAT moving off. But until on an hourly we get displacement, you have not confirmed a reversal. By displacement, I mean a long-bodied, solid, bullish fucking candle with volume coming in. Okay? Not just a spike. I want to see volume rising upwards in this wave 3. Then I want to see a small range in a 4. At that time, I would take a risk on a play. Until then, we have nothing. And then you would go for another high, and then likely another range, and then likely another high, right? But until we build this structure where this grind and this grind get partner legs up here as consolidations and makes another high, we have nothing. Okay? So let's wait and watch for that. On the 4 hour, you are starting to build a little bit of arcing of price action, so that is good. But overall, let's get this volume to come up. Yes? That one is high risk, right? POPCAT is high risk. All right, let's go see what we got next, guys. All right, we did that. KAITO. All right, I don't know where to look this up, but let's go to Coinbase first. I typically think trading the spot pair is the best. Let's go to the weekly and check out. Well, if you want to look at ugly charts, this is one. All right. Is there an older thing? This sounds like a ninja. KAITO! Came out of the dark and struck me in the neck. So this so far looks like the longest chart. Volume's 4.35 mil. Looks like shit. Let's look at everything here. Nice. Got another one from JJ. DMTR. We'll do that after this, sir. Thank you. And thanks for coming to the live stream, guys. We've been knocking this thing off for 2 hours. Killing it. All right. What's up, Timothy? Where are you from, yo? KAITO the Ninja. All right. So, in an uptrend, let's keep it simple first. In an uptrend, when we use our fib retracements from high to low, if we hit the 90% or 888 retracement, it makes it likely to fall back and then take that high eventually. I would say for probability reasons, I side with us taking this high based upon retracement fibs. Okay? Let's look at our new style fibs to see where we're finding current support. At the 0.5, that's amazing. Now, what do you see on the RSI, guys, and price action? In an uptrend, price action did not make new lows, but in an uptrend, the RSI did. When it secured the higher low, it made a lower low on RSI, giving the possibility of a reversal here in a wave 4. Okay, now let's try to prove that to ourselves using more math. All right, not just my hope, because my hope don't mean jack. So let's go from low to high to low, and let's see where KAITO could go. It rhymes. That's hilarious. All right, so what did you do, gang? You break your minimum wave 3 target at 1.618, and we find some resistance at 2.236. This could easily be the high of an extended wave 3. Why do I say that? Do you see where my highest volume came in for the move? Let me put some labels on here so you guys can see what I mean. If this is wave 1, wave 2, likely another little sneaky 1 into 2 was here. Big displacement candle, high volume, likely your wave 3 of 3, right? Then your wave 4 of 3, your wave 5 of 3, your wave 4 on a macro maybe, and your wave 5 is over. Excuse me, or your wave 3 is over. Excuse me. Here's your wave 4 and 5. So due to this stacking, you might be having 1, 2, 1, 2, leading into a 3, 4, 3, 4, and now looking for more upside. So if that's true, let's make sure we have not invalidated probability things for wave 4. And that comes from a retrace support from low to high. We really don't want to see it hit 0.618. And we don't. 0.618 would invalidate. So we don't want to see that. And let's measure for this said wave 5. Right? We really want to see this hold. Now, if I had to give my position here some risk management, I would do an invalidation at the highs of wave 1 if you want to be like a little riskier, right? That's invalidation. But for all my dudes who know probability, That's really going to start to shift if this 618 is hit. If a buck 20 is touched, it's likely not a wave 4, right? But let's say the low's in, and let's try to target that wave 5. What kind of gain would that be from KAITO? From 0 to 3 to 4, looks for a 0.618, right? On KAITO, decent gainer, right? Even from here, gang. That gives you 100% return on investment. The thing that we're going to be looking for at that point is what, guys? We're going to look for the RSI to come back up, battle with the 70 zone, likely reject. Price action to come up, hit the target, and reject. At that point, you would have a regular bear divergence on price action with a lower closure on RSI. Maybe you get high volume to trick all kinds of assholes to continue to buy into the wave 5. But likely you would have smaller volume in 5 than you do in 3, giving a momentum divergence. Okay, let's check our Cypher B here to see what momentum showed us on the lows, right? You have a hidden divergence here on your lows of momentum also. So this was stacking up really good, telling you it was a possible pivot. So it could be, guys, but just keep that invalidation in mind for KAITO. Nice, thank you for that chart. All right, looks like the next one here, guys, is going to be DMTR. I only get to look at this chart when my friend Happy is around. He loves this chart. All right, so you can see how not everybody's right, not everybody's wrong, and sometimes you get shit right, sometimes you get it wrong. All right, so when we look at this chart, we can see what, guys? 3-wave motion to the upside. Then we saw a 3-wave motion to the downside, and we thought maybe a low's in. Coin said no. Made a connector and a final leg down. Now, if the B wave's in, we will adjust the things that we're doing here. Let's look at the weekly really quickly. I always forget to take a peek here. Oh, God, it's an ugly chart. God, it's an ugly chart. If you are lucky on a chart like DMTR like this, this was your original move up, 3 back, 3 up, 3 back, and the correction is over. With the run up compared to how long it took to correct, it's getting so long in the tooth that it's likely that I'm wrong here. This would not be my favorite chart. We're not past 6 times in length, so there's a chance it's still valid as maybe a B. And that was an A to the upside, and it's always possible this can form a pivot and make another leg to the upside. Yeah, dude, thanks for coming, Peter. Thanks, Ray. Good night, my dudes. Hopefully it's helpful. What DMTR holders are hoping for is that this original leg gets a partner leg, right? And for now, that would be the best case you see. These are just rough estimates. That would take this up to the 0.378 area as a 1-to-1. But for now, with a chart like this, I can't really give you any sort of high probability plays or anything I would look for. For me, this is not a pretty chart. It's not what I would be after. All right, let's keep rolling. And I don't mean your chart's bad or your project's bad. It's just for the strategies that I use, JJ. I really like to see them be some sort of clear impulsivity, some sort of displacement, things giving us hints and tips that we are going to form a reversal and go. And we just don't have that here. All right, so we also have GMBH as the next chart. Let's check that out. Is that the correct ticker? Let me know about GMBH. Sajay. Sajay, is that how you say it? I apologize. I'm not very versed in names from Europe. All right, let's just take a peek here till I hear back from you. This is a forever downtrend so far. Not something I'd be ultra stoked about. I would say the only thing that you're really getting positive about here is the possible regular bull divergence, meaning you're making lower closures on price action, but not on the RSI. If this is so, let's go to the daily. God, it's an ugly chart, isn't it? What I don't like is this somewhat three-wave motion and a three-wave motion and a possible 5. If we're lucky, again, this was like many others that we looked at. It's a far-fetched wave 4 and going into a wave 5. Now, if the RSI gives some divergence there, which it did, it's likely that you could be saying maybe if you're lucky, that it's making a reversal. Oh no, I looked up the wrong chart. Oh, it's part of your name. My goodness. I'm sorry, guys. Well, anyways, look at this chart. Let's see what it can do. Let's mess around and see what we might have stumbled into. Let's go from 0 to 3 to 4. Do you guys have any other charts you want to cover during the stream? Any altcoins, any Bitcoin, any fibs, anything. You let me know, we'll run through it. Yeah, dude, it's a lot of things look like it could reverse and give you that alt season, dude. We just need, like you say, excuse my yawn and my stretch. We need to see these reversals, 34 EMA trader. We need to see Bitcoin's price going up while dominance takes a step back and allows the altcoins to receive some of that money flow, right? Until we get that, there's not a whole lot we can do, right? So if you can see the total 2 break through this resistance here, let me zoom out. And that is the 888 retracement taken from high to low. You will see it move upward again. But until then, it's just stuck here at the fibs, right, guys? So the next thing that you should also be looking for is trend lines within your RSI. Look for that next hit. Look for this to push up into that 1.45 to 1.58 trillion range. After that, you know, we'll start talking about more and we'll move that retracement to the next pivots, right? Right? So again, you're at the most common area of interest, golden pocket, 1.27 trillion. If we can break that, we're looking to get into that 2 trillion market cap range. Okay? Does anybody have any questions over how or when or what altcoins or what's going on? I'll wait just a moment here to see if you guys have anything. And if you don't, then we will just move on about the day. I want to take just a quick moment to say thank you all for coming to the stream. I really enjoy doing the live streams with you guys and talking about price action and what we think could be going on out there. Always keep, you know, your goals realistic here in trading, and let's not be overly, you know, certain X, Y, and Z is going to happen, right? Let's always stay kind of on this err on the side of caution, as they would say, right? As always, thank you guys. And if you need anything else, please do reach out and I'll be there. Please like, subscribe, pop anything into the comments that you have left after today's stream. And again, we'll be doing these on Mondays. Subscribe to the YouTube so you don't miss any. And I hope to see you guys in the Discord. Shameless plug. All this information was there beforehand. We've been charting the market direction. So if you want to become part of the team and stay in the know, go ahead, join the Discord. There's a free week trial for anybody who's never tried it. And then see if we're a good fit for each other. But see you guys later. Bye, everybody. Thank you.